Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of our new mini series, Working with Your Brain, Not Against It. So, now that we know a little bit more about executive function and how it can get overloaded, this episode we're going to be talking about our toolbox because many of us are taught that if we're struggling, that we should really just push through, work harder, wake up earlier, just do it, be stricter, have more discipline. But if the system is overloaded, pressure is not going to help. Tools are going to make it better. Allowing our system to have some support is what's going to gain freedom, less pressure, the ability to actually be able to function. So let's talk about some of these tools. So the first method that we're actually going to be looking at further in the next episode is the Pomodoro method or Pomodoro technique. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. But in this method, you take time bursts of focus. So you set up a timer. There are many different timers, and you can do 25 minutes, you can do 30 minutes, you can do 40 minutes, how much ever time of focus you're going to give yourself. And then you have a period of break. So whether that's 5 or 10 minutes after the first burst of focus. And then you repeat that cycle for how many ever hours you want to be studying, working, focused on a project. Working in short time bursts helps you to feel like if it's not endless. Like there's a time frame of to what you're getting done, and you can then fulfill that time with whatever it is that you're focused on. I can personally say for me, which is a little hint to the video that's coming soon, I tried the technique and I would say that it makes you feel very accomplished with what you've been doing because you have actually gotten some things done based on the time burst that you've set out for yourself. The technique after that is body doubling, where we use someone else who is either physically next to you or virtually next to you, and we use them locking into a particular work schedule and us following along with them. So accountability buddy, since that's what we know that term as. When we're working or studying, we have someone there with us so that we feel as though there's a camaraderie to what we are doing. I'm not the only one suffering. By the end of this, we can go get a treat together. We can feel a bit more fulfilled. If I need help or I need assistance or support emotionally to help me focus a bit better. The third technique is task chunking. So that would be taking big tasks that you have and breaking it down into little itty bitty tasks. A lot of the time when we are focused on tasks that are just like very large, we feel overwhelmed and that causes us to procrastinate. But with task chunking, we can be able to break it down into as small steps as particularly necessary or even unnecessary. Sometimes when you have a chronic illness, breaking something down into the very smallest of tasks is something helpful to you because it helps you to get it done. If you're having a bad fatigue day and you have chronic fatigue, getting up and breaking it down into using the bathroom and taking a shower, brushing my teeth, taking a step outside to get some fresh air. Sometimes those smaller tasks, instead of getting ready for work, can actually help you to get it done. And on the note of talking about chronic fatigue and chronic illness, energy scheduling. So waking up and monitoring where you are mentally. On those days where we feel very low, very out of sorts, or whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, we don't have the energy to do the tasks that we thought we would have the ability to do. We set a lower task schedule for ourselves. So on the days that we have lower energy, we put less tasks, less pressure. It gives us the feeling that we're doing a lot and we're actually still completing a lot instead of overloading the to-do list and making ourselves feel disappointed at the end of the day that we were not able to complete the tasks. It's giving yourself the ability to succeed instead of setting yourself up for failure just because you felt like if you should have been able to get that done today. With energy chunking, with energy scheduling, you can actually use the days where you have more energy to get more done without overloading, and making sure that you take into account, okay, the next couple of days may not be perfect. So what can I get done today? What do I feel good getting done today without overloading myself and it negatively affecting me tomorrow to be successful? Our next technique is external reminders. So, using external reminders because your brain isn't meant to internally hold on to every single piece of information that we collect. We're in the day and age of social media where we're always doom scrolling and our brains are literally getting so overwhelmed with all the information that we keep shoving into it. So, why not just take the important priority information and write it on a post-it note? Write it in a journal, write it on your phone, and have reminders, alarms, things that you will see in every day and actually interact with so that you get in the habit of seeing this reminder, doing this thing, instead of holding all the information in your brain and getting overloaded in that way. And lastly, which is kind of encompassing a bit of what we've been talking about so far in our toolbox, is changing your environment. Our environment really shapes the way that we interact with our mental health, our physical health. If we're not in a place that is allowing us to thrive, why do we expect that there will be success? If we have an environment that is helping us to focus and is helping us to complete the task, we are having that support from our environment itself to facilitate its completion rather than fighting against us. So those are the elements that we'll be looking at in our toolbox. There are so many more elements that could fit into our toolbox that we can use together, that we can use in replace of some of the elements that I will be talking about in this mini series. However, right now, we're just doing these basic ones, and if we want more, we'll request more. We may have a continuation of the mini series. But a little foreshadowing, I will be testing out some of these theories more than one day so that in addition to the mini series episode, you'll get to see me try it out for a couple days and see how I personally used it in my day to day and if it worked for me or not. So stay tuned for the next episode, which will be the Pomodoro method. Bye.